Greetings guzzers. I'm going to make some bread. I haven't made bread in a little while, but I've got my new oven, and actually you can hear that at the moment. I've just turned the light on because we're going to use it to prove our dough in. Okay, I couldn't do that with my old one, my light went, I couldn't find out where to replace the light. Anyway, I recently discovered Nadiya's latest TV series, which was to do with spice. And the first episode I saw, there were 3 recipes on it, and I thought I've got to try them. One of which is this Paneer and Chilli loaf. So that's what we're going to make. Nadiya's Paneer and Chilli loaf. So in this bowl I've got 500 grams of strong white bread flour. Okay, and now I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of ground cumin, and we're going to be mixing all this together shortly. I'm also going to add, and I'm going to do this before I do the chili powder. How much salt was it? Checking a book. 2 teaspoons of salt, so I've got some fine grained salt there, and that goes. Now salt's an important part of bread. It does affect the yeast, but equally it affects the texture, because it affects how the gluten forms and everything, and the flavour. So it's important you put your right amount of salt in. And then I'm going to have 2 teaspoons, it's a smaller lid on this one, of chili powder. That was a bit of a heat on that one. A bit more, it's only a mild chili powder, that one. And then we're going to add 7 grams of instant yeast. Now before we do anything else, we want to mix all that together to make sure all of that is thoroughly mixed. Now I've got some vegetable oil here, and now I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of the vegetable oil, and then I've got 320 mils over there in that jug. I'm just going to keep that oil, so I might need that in a bit. We've got 320 mils of lukewarm water. So although that oil gets a little bit lost in there at this stage, just give that a quick mix in, create a bit of a well, and then we're now just going to mix that water together with the rest of it to create a nice dough. You'll turn that dough out, and we're now just going to knead that until it's all nice and smooth and stretchy. So, and I'm probably going to regret using it with my hands and not gloves because of that chilli that's in it. So like I said, the first episode I saw, which I think was the first episode of a new series, she made 3 recipes. This bread, a cheesecake, which I've made. Not quite sure which order these are going to go out in, but we'll get to see that one as well. And also she made a nice lentil dal, which I haven't made yet. But I did buy the book, which I've got sat there in front of me, and there's plenty in there I'm going to be trying out. So I'm just going to tip this out in a second. I'm just getting all that little bits of flour out for there, and then we're going to knead it. Now I've tipped that out. It is starting to get a little bit sticky, but the trick is to keep kneading it, and if you need to get it off your bench, get the bowl out of the way, use your dough scraper. Okay, but essentially we're just doing some stretches and folds, and we're just going to keep that up for about 10 minutes until that's nicely kneaded. That's had just about 10 minutes of kneading, and what we want to do now is just allow that to double in size. So just form that into a ball, pop it in there, and we'll put some cling film, cling film, gosh, I can't speak, nor will be drinking his coffee. Put some cling film over it, and then it's going to go and sit for about up to an hour, but we'll just keep an eye on it. I'm now just going to remove that. Now, I'm going to differ slightly here from Nadiya. She does this in a tin. You'll need a 900 gram tin if you want to do it in that. But I want to make it into more of a bloomer shape because of what I want to use it for. So, just going to get that dough out of there, and we're partly knocking the air around it, but also we want to stretch it out because this is where we're going to add our paneer. Now, I've got 200 grams of paneer there, and I actually found, rather than grate it like she suggested, literally you could just crumble it with your fingers. So all we're going to do is spread that over the surface. It does seem a lot here, but don't worry too much about that. We're going to be blending that in, kneading that into the dough. Equally pick up all them bits that fall into it. And then the other thing we're adding is 100 grams of crispy onions. So also just going to spread them over the top. And now it's just a matter of kneading these two extra things into that dough. So that's going to be a little bit tricky because it's probably going to sit in there in little pockets like it is already splitting up and making a mess. So we're just going to have to persist with kneading this all in until we're happy they're all mixed thoroughly through. Now, hopefully the cheese, given the size of the pieces, will blend in quite nicely in cooking. If you sort of had chunks of cheese, obviously you're going to end up with chunks of cheese inside. Giving that a good kneading, and it's sort of more or less stopped falling out. And all I want to do now is, like I say, I want to shape it. I want to make it a bit more elongated, and then I'm going to lightly flour that surface, lay it on there, and then we're just going to cover it with a piece of oiled cling film. And again, we're then just going to let that prove again till it's you know, pretty much increased in size. When we're ready to cook it, you'll want to put your oven on at 180. Okay, I think that will do. So, see when we're ready to bake. It's had about an hour, and you can see it's obviously risen quite a lot. Now, before we bake it, now the oven's on at 220, we're going to give it a glaze. So I've got in there 1 egg yolk and 1 tablespoon of whole milk, and then we're just going to add half a teaspoon of turmeric. Didn't realise it was that long, turmeric. And I'm just going to beat that together, and then we're going to remove the cling film and brush that over the top surface. And then, like I say, we'll go in that hot oven at 220 and we'll bake it for 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, we're going to lower the temperature to 170 and carry on cooking it for about another 30 minutes. Given I'm not doing that in a tin, I might check it after 20 just to make sure that obviously it's not over baked. So, like I say, we're now just going to coat the entire top surface with this glaze, and then we'll be baking it. So I gave that 25 minutes on the lower temperature, and I think that's just about done. Just bear in mind, because of the cheese and everything, and also that topping, it does tend to glue it down well onto the baking tray. So you might want to bake perhaps a little extra oil on it. But there you go, we'll let that cool a bit. Should really let it cool completely, but we're going to have a taste, aren't we? I don't know if it's the chilli that was in there, but it's noticeable when you open the oven. It was almost like a vinegary sensation. But anyway, we're going to let that cool a bit, then we'll have a little taste now. So let's take the end off. Actually, I realised what that smell, that sort of tang, if you like, that was a turmeric. So there you go. You can't really see the cheese because those small bits sort of made sure it blended in. You can see the little orangey bits of the crispy onions. Let's just try a bit now without any butter on it. The chilli's not overpowering. It starts to come through. It's not an instant hit. Quite sweet. But it's just got that chilli warmth without being like blow your head off. I don't know if the sweetness is coming from the onions. But quite a dense crumb. Let's try it with a bit of butter on it. Been a bit generous now. Even better. So, serve this with cheese. More cheese, that is. Just on its own. Might even be quite nice toasted. But there you go. There is Nadiya's Paneer and Chilli loaf. Bloody ace.